Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, and you're on globalbusinessnews.net, and this is Global TV. This is a Zoom thing, of course, and we started this series in spring of 2020, and since then we've done about 300 broadcasts. Google Analytics has measured, if we can believe all that, Google Analytics has measured 125,000 audience page views on our site, and due to these talk shows, and it's approximately 75% US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, 20% Europe, 8 or 9% in Asia Pacific. So our special guests today are in Mexico, and this is part of a series that we're producing and will be distributing across 12 months, all about US, Canada, Mexico, world trade, the impact on the economies, and where we go from here, especially in a post-pandemic world. Let's welcome for the first time, Carlos Espinoza. Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here.
And Rigo, thank you for coming back.
Thanks, Ed, for inviting me again. Appreciate it.
Great. So, Carlos, I understand you're with ICU Net.
That's right. I'm actually the Regional Business Development Manager. So I work for the whole region, but I do have kind of a special focus in two markets, which is the US market and the Mexican market.
Yeah. So ICU Net is based in southern Germany, right?
That's right. Passau to be accurate.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I spoke with those guys a couple of years ago, but it's been a while, and I didn't know that they had you in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, well, it's not been long. I have been here for 5 months now, and it has been a great journey, to be honest. There's a lot of things that we are doing from a global perspective, and just dealing with the day-to-day things in some of the markets that are still challenging in this kind of post-COVID situation.
So you bring German, European culture and approach into the North American market.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
sort of.
Sort of. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, great. So Rigo, what's new and exciting over the past 2 weeks?
Well, it's like time is flying. So we are about to end the year. I think, next week it's November. So I would say that 1 month more and the year is almost over. So December, everybody's like in Christmas mode. And I'm truly happy that basically this year has been good in a general overview, and well, looking forward to start planning for the next. It's kind of the time where many companies are starting to forecasting and planning how it's going to be the next year. So basically, this is the part of the year where we are summarizing what we did and start to planning for the next one.
Plus, it's so difficult because we don't know where we're going. We're hopeful, but the pandemic has impacted everybody and everything in one way or another. Just to review, we had for 24 years a very active live conference networking business, and we produced almost 400 meetings, some in Mexico City, downtown, the Camino Real, in Palenque, and also Santa Fe, but nothing since February of 2020. So we've been doing broadcasts. Teleconferences is not a new idea, just how it's applied is really different. So it's really interesting. In the immigration field, Rigo, are you seeing an influx or what looks like it's going to be an influx, a growth of inbound from Europe into Mexico?
Well, that's a good question. I think currently our main market or main client will be definitely the US. And I think this is from an immigration perspective, it's basically because we have this USMCA, which gives some preferences for getting a visa
Right.
quickly. So when you're coming from Europe or from other countries, so the restrictions are more complex. And I think, yeah, probably Europe is definitely always a top origin country. But I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen. And again, from the immigration perspective, probably now the US, it's more a recurrent country that is coming here.
Yeah, yeah. So, Carlos, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I can tell you. I think that I would say I feel the exact same way as Rigo. We do have we're actually seeing our customers starting to invest more in Mexico, coming from Europe. Nevertheless, there are some projects that are working in a new kind of environment, and they have decided just to do everything remotely. So I can tell you that immigration wise, they just stopped doing it. But we are having big groups being trained from a intercultural angle just to be able to work remotely at their best level. So yeah, I don't see a lot of people coming, though it's not something that has stopped, like fully stopped. And yeah, we're still trying to build something in terms of volume between the U.S. region with well, not region, the country with the rest of Latam. That's kind of what we are aiming for this year as well.
Yeah, makes sense, huh? But boy, it's a lot of work, though. But it's what we've been trained for. I mean, we went to school, we paid our dues earlier in our respective careers. And we have all this knowledge, and we couldn't really apply it to anything for almost 2 years. So here we go. Now, this is the ball game, the World Series, starting now. So we're only in the first inning, I think. If we could use that analogy, because it's going to certainly be different, and hopefully it will get better and healthier as we go forward. Because I look forward to coming back into Mexico City and producing one of our live meetings. Actually, we'll do a hybrid because I happen to like this format. And by doing a hybrid, we can expand our reach, expand your reach if you're with us. And, we just invite other people who would never get on a plane again. Never mind spend all that money. So the idea of being around you guys in person would be wonderful. So that, like, I have to tell you an example is last night here in San Diego, my wife Joanne and I went to dinner with a customer of mine, and she and I had never met in person. It was all virtual. And she's from, I met her when she was living in New Orleans.
Okay.
Which is around 2,000 miles from San Diego. And, but we had never met in person. It was all virtual. She had been a guest on my talk show. She wrote a book about the power of positive conflict resolution. And so naturally, it was quite popular. And she's also a teacher at Louisiana State University on banking. So she happened to be in San Diego on business this week for the first time in 2 years. And I didn't meet up with her because of that, but we met up down the street from where she was staying for dinner. and the restaurant was crowded. Nobody was wearing masks. Everybody was eating and drinking. And so it was really just, a lot of fun. I mean, just like, wow, this is what it's like. I remember.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I think that we just forgot about how it feels like to be like in a face-to-face kind of interaction. And it feels really good. I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, and you can connect, especially after multiple times of doing Zoom meetings with this person. And, but there she was right across the dinner table. And she had never met Joanne before. They had never met. And total strangers. And so everybody was there. And so we learned things that we never discussed on Zoom. It can only happen in person when you're face to face in a relaxed environment. So I look forward to that someday, because that will really add scope and depth and texture to relationships that got underway with the video. So about the immigration and the growth of the economy in, let's just say, Mexico for a moment, but we can relate it to all of Latin America. Why do you think companies would ever want to pay for relocating staff into Mexico when it could be done virtually?
Well, that's a great statement or question and slash idea and slash a lot of things, but I'm actually concerned because I was reading this report from KPMG, and from this survey that they conducted by the end of the last year, there is 47% of companies that they will just stop working as usual in terms of assignments. Yeah. So that kind of answers kind of your question. And I would say that from a really personal angle, I would say it's every single day it gets kind of harder to think about just retaking that dynamic. It's not something that they will be thinking about it, because just people is just starting to feel good about working from home. They are developing their soft skills so they can successfully just control or lead a team without actually being in the same country, city, time zone, or whatever the way you were want to look at it. So right. I would say that
just getting good at what we've been playing with for months.
But connecting what we have been talking about, there's one thing that we can take out of the equation by working face to face, and that's creating stronger relationships. And in terms of Latin America, and of course in Mexico, relationships are I mean, business is always, and it comes with really good relationships. So for Mexico, it's something that needs to happen, still needs to happen. And I would say that would be kind of the most important things when it comes to the decision process in terms of sending or not to send people into Mexico. That would be my perspective. Still difficult. There are still a lot of things happening that will once again just say, you know what, no, don't go that way. You can do everything remotely. But that would be what I think.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good information. Rigo, do you want to add to that?
I fully agree with Carlos. Definitely, things are changing, but I don't know. I mean, from my own perspective, what it happened to me is that I struggled perhaps a lot at the beginning of the pandemic in connected with people through video, through Zoom. At that point, that I developed new skills that I didn't know that I could do it, for performing streaming and things like that, or connecting in this new way. And now that I feel finally comfortable, I need to go back to the old way, which is physically interactive. So it's kind of, at the end, being in the comfort zone for many years, for many months, and then switching back or basically changing to another ways what maybe personally I struggle, but at the end it's like business are constantly adapting. So this is the part where we need to focus and be part of this new, let's say, model.
So just earlier today, just as an example of how all this is evolving, at my 7 a.m., I don't know what time it is now. Let's see, it's 20 past 10 here, California. But at my 7 a.m., I had a broadcast with one guy, well, both guys. One guy was in Connecticut, the other guy was in New York. And they're both very, very senior corporate executives from Fortune 500 companies, and they've each quit, retired to set up their own thing, right? So, and now they're selling their services back to the corporate structures, right? So I have them on my show to talk about what are they doing and how are they reinventing themselves because of situations and how's it going. So one guy has worked in Asia for a very large insurance company, and he's also worked in Poland, running Eastern Europe. And now he's doing freelance work, picking up assignments, sort of like rent and exec. Here I am, And so he does like outsourcing himself to big companies who don't want to hire and upload or train, onboard, whatever the right words are, somebody at a high level. They just bring someone in to do a job and done. And it's remote, right? And so then the question came from the other guy in New York, who's a compensation executive. With the growth and acceptance of a lot of people working remotely or working from home or anywhere, how do you pay those people? Do you pay them the same as you paid them when they were down the hall? Or do you pay them relevant to where they're actual working from a cost of living point of view? So for instance, cost of living in New York area is sky high compared with cost of living in North Carolina. And for the most part, cost of living in, say, San Diego, California, is probably similar to some areas of Mexico City. But if people were going to be working in, say, Acapulco or in Cabo San Lucas or in Cancun, the cost of living is going to be different. If they go out to eat in a restaurant, it would be sky high, but if ordinarily it's not, because cost of living is lower other than electricity. So do you reduce the pay of those people? That's a major, major issue right now in corporations. And there's no answer to it because they don't know what to do. They're trying to figure it out themselves. Interesting though, isn't it? Especially when you think of relocating people, physically relocating people. Do you put them on the local, or do you pay them out of out of home office versus where they're going to be? Which cost of living is better for the corporation? And then the corporation has to think, well, are you going to leave because we're going to ask you to take a pay cut? You can have the job, we want you, but we're not going to pay you like you used to get paid because you're not having those higher costs of living. Anyway, that's a major issue that's coming into the mix of relocation and immigration. What do you do? There's no answer to that right now. But
no, there's not an answer.
Major issue. What do you think, Rigo? That's going to be part of the package, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, it's even the flexibility of the employer who is willing to accept the conditions of of the new talent. And but yeah, I think also what has been an issue is the part about immigration and tax. Definitely, who is gonna absorb the tax, what kind of visa you need, and things like that. So at the end, this is definitely very important. But yeah, I think the relocation industry needs to reinvent at some point in the way they provide services.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on ED's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So, Carlos, is your experience in your prior work as well as now that companies, say American companies, are going to be building more things in Mexico rather than in the US?
Well, I think that it's a question that can be answered from different angles depending on the industry that you are looking at. I have seen a lot of telecommunications, fintech companies looking to grow, and this case I have seen an investment of this delivery services as well coming into Mexico, and specific to Guadalajara. That's actually a place in which they are looking at, including fintech and once again delivery services such as DoorDash, which is a new name for Mexico, but it's quite big, I think, in the US. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the industry. My experience with those guys is that they are definitely looking at Mexico as a place to be in. This is not only coming from the US. We can see some fintech companies coming from Latin America, and specific from Brazil. So that is interesting as well. They are looking at Mexico as their biggest market, and they are already making a lot of noise here. So in terms of customer wise, they are actually welcoming very good this whole new services and new era of services, and that's good. That's good. That's good news for Mexico. Yeah, and that is, yeah. I think that would be my comment on that.
Yeah, Rico, do you want to add to that?
I want to say that I just took a webinar about the aeronautic industry like 2 or 3 weeks ago, how it's growing. And that webinar was a mix between the companies and the government. One of the things that they were arguing to persuade companies to invest in Mexico is that our labor force, the age of the labor force in Mexico, it's about 29 to 30 years old. So this is like we're at on the top, let's say, yeah, we're more productive than ever, so to say, which I think now many companies should come to Mexico. But they were showing that information, that the average labor force, it's about 29, 30 years old. And, among other statistics, but in general, yeah, I think we are in a boom, and let's take advantage while it lasts, because this is not going to be forever, where it means that probably in about 10 to 20 years, things going to change, or even in less time. But by now, yeah, the things seems to be really positive.
Yeah, so there's competition everywhere, of course, but when we look at like Germany, for instance, looking at the Western Hemisphere, well, of course, German companies are all over the U.S., but particularly in the Southeast. But Carlos, German companies will look at Latino America area and decide between whether to invest in Mexico or in Brazil, right? Those are the choices because of the markets. And can you address that? I would think Mexico is probably a better bet, but I'm sure they're looking at Sao Paulo also.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things or big things I would say is kind of the conditions in terms of from an employer angle, it's better for them. I mean, conditions in Brazil can be complicated. You can get in really nasty and super quick. They can escalate really quick. That's what I'm referring to. The situations with employees.
Yeah, sorry. Employees, because it's more emotional. I guess.
Yeah, and the government just protects more the employees. So you can end up having a good agreement in terms of just terminating an employee, but as soon as he finishes, he can just go and say, I'm not happy. So the government is going to take you and say, you know what, you need to compensate her or him more. So, and you will be not finding that in Mexico. I think that we have good labor. I mean, good people over here. And there's a lot of people just having good skills in terms of language wise as well. Right. So I would say Mexico has better conditions than some other countries, in a specific Brazil. That's what I have been seeing.
So my understanding is that in general, the Mexican people in that age bracket you mentioned are better educated, and that they're more trained in a business way.
Yeah,
in general, yeah,
and they have. I would use resilience. They are just better in that. So they would just help you grow and will take whatever you send them. So it's good for growth.
Yeah. Okay. So I really appreciate you guys sharing some time with me, and I certainly welcome you to come back. I'm not rushing to close this. I just wanted to say that clearly, that I'm learning from this, and of course, it's nice to network.
Of course,
and say hello. What I'm interested in doing with this series is to expand it across, once every 2 weeks or who knows how long, but to go forward and to bring in people from different countries to join the discussion on the show. I thought we were going to have a guy from Peru. He initially said yes, but he officially signed up, but he seems to be interested. He's a fairly senior guy in human resources in a company in Peru. And then we were talking with a couple of people in Brazil, and we were also talking with somebody else. I can't remember where. Could have been Chile or Bolivia, but so I'm trying to put together different people to come. Some would be competitors, whether it's through LARM or DwellWorks or some other groups, but we're interested in expanding the circle if that's allowable. So very interested to have some corporate people participate. I know there's some restrictions about speaking publicly about what's going on in companies. That's okay. We don't need to learn secrets. We just want to be able to meet people and network using this platform.
Of course.
Yeah. So for the next time, whether it's in 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, want to come back together again. And if we all can find at least one other person to join us, that could be from marketing, it could be from finance, it could be legal, tax, it could be from oil, tech, whether it's fintech or whatever.
Yeah, I'm in. Count with
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah. So what about real estate? Do you think having people from housing and real estate would be an interesting mix? Temp living or, property management?
Good question. I mean, I think that it's a good topic. I think that I would go for real estate. Anything that they can share about rental and purchase kind of transactions, I think that I would go with it.
Yeah, especially with growth, people will be making more money and they'd want to look at beachfront property or mountain property.
Exactly.
But if that's allowable and under what conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that could be part of an immigration discussion, right, Rigo?
As well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, Rigo, do you want to close with something? Leave an idea?
I think I fully agree with the next sessions that we may have, and I think we also discussed some topics about the middle class expansion in the last session. But I think this is a very, very interesting topic, and not only for Mexico but for other countries. At the end, the middle class society it's pushing a lot to make things happen. So yeah, let me think in a couple of attendees that who can join to our sessions from Chile perhaps or from Argentina, and surely they will bring us new perspectives.
Perfect. Carlos, I welcome you to consider that also.
Thank you. I will do that for sure, 100%.
Okay, so let's communicate and stay in touch. Thank you for being on Global TV.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Carlos. Cheers.
Stay healthy.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.